At Farmers Insurance, we know the sound of a perfect hot air balloon landing. And a less than perfect one. Seen it, covered it. Click for more.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Hi, this is Stephanie Hansen, and we are back with one of our previous guests. It is Laura Roos, because you got married, Laura, didn't you? Is that how you say your last name, Roos?
You got it. Laura
Excellent.
Roos, so new name.
You were Laura Waldman when we talked to you at episode 22 of The Makers of Minnesota in 2016, if you can believe that.
You know, I actually re-listened to it this morning because it has been so much time. It's crazy. But yeah, it's been about 2 years now.
Yeah, and it is so, like, in the life of a business person, that is a long time.
Yes.
So when we had talked to you, you had pretty much just started, or very recently started, Minny Paul, which is a gift box, and you were crafting the boxes locally with another company and filling them with Minnesota treats and selling them, and really were doing a great job of curating Minnesota makers in the box. Is that still how you would describe what you do, Laura?
I would say pretty close. So as you said, 2 years is a long time for a business.
Yes.
Growing, changing, evolving, especially for a small business. Yes, we are a local gifting studio. We're based in Northeast, and we curate, we call them gift sets now because we have a couple vessel options, not just a box. We also offer a binny now, a canvas bin.
I saw that. It's so cute.
Thank you. And yeah, everything is still sourced from all Minnesota makers and brands.
And has it been easier to find things as the proliferation of Minnesota businesses? Because it just seems like there's been so many cool business opportunities in the last 3 years.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Listening back and realizing, there were no sock companies. That was one thing I talked about. And sometimes it's hard to find products,
And now there's hippie feet.
Yeah. Exactly. It's just so fun to see all of these wonderful companies come about, and it's almost overwhelming now that there are so many. And where before it might have been one or two candle companies that we were, being able to work with, but now there might be 12. So it is really the Minnesota creative community is just growing exponentially.
And at this point, do people connect with you as much as you connect with them?
Yeah, it is a mix, still as it was back then, where I might reach out to somebody directly, or we might get a sample sent to us in the mail. Definitely now that we've been around for a couple of years, we are getting more requests, which is great because it allows us to just see more products and try more things and continue to sample and make sure that everything is of the highest quality. But we still go and reach out and find different products. We still go to all the different, as you know, there are a ton of different fairs now and markets, but we still try to go to a vast majority of them to continue hunting for the fun, new, beautiful product.
Right. We're talking with Laura Roos from Minny Paul. When we started doing this podcast, there weren't as many markets, and there's been a lot of talk recently about sort of market fatigue. Are you seeing that? Is it starting to feel like some of these products are very similar?
Yes, I would say there's just market is saturated when it comes to these pop-up markets, where it used to be kind of a fun, you got to check it out. There's only a few. Now around the holiday season, there's multiple every weekend, and it starts to lose its luster.
Yeah.
At least for us as vendors at some of them, I would say I still love going to them and checking out new stuff. But I think for the vendor side, it is beginning to be a bit less special and maybe not the best use of time as it gets to be, again, so saturated.
I wonder if they will, if we'll see less of it next year, in that it is saturated and people just don't want to take those risks.
Yeah, at least for us, we are putting our pop-up time to the very, very minimum this year. That's been a new goal. We started with we might only just do a few, only just a handful, where my first year, I think we did like 24.
Right.
Yeah.
And do you then reinvest in like Google marketing, or how do you grow if you're not going to be at pop-ups?
Great question. So this past year was the first time we did any sort of paid marketing, and we dabbled with NPR, just doing a bit of radio spots. We also are doing a bit more on Instagram and Facebook, but that is something that we're really going to dig into this year to grow that social following, because we do find that even a ton of our corporate clients are finding us through Instagram.
Yeah. And so will you start to put money towards marketing on Instagram then? Will you hire an agency? When you're putting your budget together for this year and this new strategy, what were you thinking?
So we probably will not be pursuing a marketing firm this year. We are actually putting most of our time and effort toward the custom and corporate side of our business.
Yep.
We found out, and I remember on the podcast, it was interesting you asked that kind of spread of revenue, and I think at the time it was like 50% was our custom, and now we're up to over 75%.
Right.
So we just need to really start putting a lot of our time and effort there. Even though the online shop and growing that and directing everyone there is really fun, I need to have a more equal spread of where that the dollars are coming in.
And so you're wanting to get more corporate gift buyers, and that tends to be a woman, 35, probably 64. So it's a little bit older demographic. Is that someone that you think you can still reach on Instagram?
Yeah, and it's interesting because that is still our target. That demographic there is definitely our target for our online shop as well. So more and more, and we actually work with a lot of men too.
Really?
Yeah, we do work with a lot of men, not on the online shop front, very few there, but more on the corporate side.
Interesting.
So that we also actually go to a ton of marketing events around the city. And it's not so much about trying to reach them through advertising online through Instagram, but it might be that a friend has recommended it, and then they just go find us on Instagram. If they're a larger corporation, for example, and might be, the decision maker on the gifting front.
So would your time, instead of being spent at pop-ups, might you go to city business events or business incubators? Are you going to spend some time more in that arena? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and just investing here in employees as well. So this past year, I was able to bring on a full-time employee.
Oh, how exciting.
Yeah, very, very big and wonderful, because up until that point, I was just doing all of the sales, along with everything else that comes along with running a business. So I have hired a fantastic person named Annie, and she is head of our business development and sales. So that's really where a big chunk of that investment went. And Annie is a huge go-getter. And so she's really working a lot on LinkedIn too. And she, is just out there.
That's so cool.
Trying to bring in sales. Yeah.
Now, in the day, you used to be able to hire a salesperson and, you would guarantee them a small stipend and then put them on commission. With the employment situation as it is, and so many people searching for good employees, I'm guessing that's a little bit different model now.
It is close. So we started as a high commission sort of salary plan.
Yep.
With big goals, but they were based more on how the business did, not exactly how she did as an individual.
Uh-huh.
And then this is now going to be our next year. So what her reach was, if we hit all of our goals, which I'm very proud to say we went pretty far past them, so I need to start setting higher goals.
Yeah.
But this next year, her salary then became the base was what she reached this past year. And then we're going to move up from there. So, what I've found is if you get the right people and you get them on the right, in the right spots on the bus, I think you really can incentivize them through sales, of course, of how the company's going, but also just a good company culture, even though we're small. I mean, I place a huge importance on that from day one.
Laura, you hit the nail on the head. And for only having one employee, you seem like you're speaking all the right lingo. That's really exciting. Now, there has been some, I don't want to say new competitors in your market, but the whole Minnesota box thing has become pretty exciting since the Super Bowl time. We saw a lot of it. Are you feeling a little more competitive than you were in years past?
Yeah, there's definitely more players on in the market now. And it was fun to, again, just listening back this morning to our last conversation. The same thing had come about right when we started. Some of that fell off as of now, but again, new boxes are back, and I still take that same approach, this attitude of abundance, where I think in the end, there's room for everybody, and we keep our head down and keep really working hard and trying to make sure that we're staying curious and reinventing ourselves and just providing a really high quality product, because sometimes it's out of your control. There's not much you can do besides keep going on your own path.
I just love talking to you, and I remembered when I talked to you in 2016 just how inspired I was by talking to you as such a smart young woman. When you look at your Instagram, I'm just curious, we're seeing a lot of people asking about like, hey, seems like stories are kind of where it's at and the feed isn't doing as well. Are you noticing a difference between like the feed and the story feature?
Definitely. We find that our posts will perform better if we have stories around the same time as well. So if we're doing a post, we want to make sure we have a story at the same time, or if we've posted, put the story up right after.
Well, that's interesting.
And the stories are an opportunity to just be a little more real and fun and silly and less filtered. It doesn't have to look perfect, and you can show the kind of the real side of your business. So we really try to show that to our followers and just be as realistic as we can be, because it seems pretty glamorous when you look at the feed, and then I think that the stories are a fun way to really show what it's actually like.
It is really interesting that you say that, too, because we're seeing that as a trend, that people want a little less curated content. And yet you have these beautiful boxes that you want to show, obviously, as your product. So I think utilizing stories in that way is pretty smart.
Thank you. Yeah.
Give me the latest and greatest 3 products that you've loved that you've put in your box that are from Minnesota that we may not be familiar with.
Oh, that's a fun one. 3 latest and greatest. Well, actually, so we've talked, it was so long ago, so I feel like there's a lot that's been new. But one thing that, and I just love this shop as well, is from Arley Park. There are 2 sisters. They run a shop here in town, and they do hand-hammered brass dishes. And we feature that in our Good Vibes box, and we put some Palo Santo incense cones. So I love that. I have it at my bedside table, use it every night. And I usually put a little spirit rock in there from Louisa.
Aww.
Yeah. We actually just launched our Galentine box, and Benny. And in that one, there's a new product that I just came across. It's from a company called Cosmic Cacao. The founder, Catherine, she's really sweet and fun and genuine. And the product we put in there is called the Love Bar. So it's a sea salt and rose petal bar. There's no gluten, no dairy. And it actually tastes really, really good.
Yum.
Third product. Okay, let's see. Well, we actually worked directly with, if you heard of Kate Cornea, she is a local artist here in town, and we did it's a neck scarf. You can also tie them on bags. I don't know if you've seen those, but really beautiful product, and we put it in a new bridesmaid or BFF gift set that we have, and it's kind of a nice floral, gets you excited for spring design.
Cute. If people want to order a box for Valentine's Day, because we'll get this posted in the next day or 2, they should go to minnyandpaul.com. Is there anything else you want them to know?
Well, they should go to minnyandpaul.com, and they can use code FREESHIP1. Why not? And get free shipping. We also offer local pickup.
All right. And that would be at the Northeast store, correct?
Yes. So in our studio in Northeast, and they'll get an email letting them know, okay, your order's ready. Come by and pick it up.
Oh, I love that. All right. Laura, it's been delightful to catch up with you. Thank you for putting your trust in Makers of Minnesota and for letting us recap with you. Congratulations on your first employee, and hopefully it won't be 2 years before we talk to you again.
Thanks so much, Stephanie.
Thanks,
it was
Laura.
Great to chat with you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wrap me in bacon, wrap him in bacon, and pour bacon crumbles on my head. Pour bacon crumbles on his head. Now that I think of it, I'll just go to Little Caesars. So go to Little Caesars. Get a bacon wrap deep dish pizza instead. Get a bacon wrap deep dish pizza instead.
Get Little Caesars large, hot and ready bacon wrap deep dish pepperoni and bacon pizza wrapped in over 3.5 feet of bacon for just $12 at participating locations plus tax.
Pizza.
I'm Rita Foley with an AP News Minute. An F-16 pilot having hydraulic problems with his aircraft managed to parachute to safety as the plane smashed into a warehouse east of Los Angeles. Fire Captain Fernando Herrera.
That pilot landed in the March Air Force Base area, and what's in the base itself.
Amazingly, there were no serious injuries after the plane hit the building. Alabama executed a man last night for his role in killing 4 people after an argument over a pickup truck. Tennessee executed a man who killed his wife. Reporters couldn't see the execution, but AP correspondent Travis Lawler says
we could hear sounds, including a singing, that Mr. Johnson's attorney says was him singing a hymn.
Answering a reporter's question, President Trump said he hopes the U.S. is not on a path to war with Iran. Mr. Trump has dismissed suggestions that any of his advisors are trying to push him into a conflict. I'm Rita Foley.